Alright guys, there's two roads. One is full of sunshine and rainbows and calming teammates. The other road is full of fire, burning and baiting Reynas who don't use their mics. Both lead to the same place, but what road would you take? The answer is obvious in this example, and in your ranked games this question comes up multiple times and you guys are taking the wrong road every time. This concept, what I'm talking about, is pathing. Pathing is the route you take when entering a site. It's a bit more complicated than that, but the paths that you should choose depend on the situation that you're in. If you take a bad route, you'll be exposed to multiple unnecessary angles, die, and lose. But with a good one, you'll be able to minimize your chances of losing your gunfights and win so many more. So today we're talking about pathing and how you can take the most efficient route every time. Let's get started. So you might be wondering, how important can pathing actually be? Well, if you don't have an end goal in mind or a set plan on how you want to take a site, in this game, especially at a higher level, you need to understand how each site works and how you should maneuver around them. If you don't do it right, it actually just won't matter how good your aim is, especially if time and time again you're taking unfavorable fights. You could be peeking bad angles, multiple angles at the same time, or your spacing could be bad, or maybe even all three. This is why pathing is so important, because at the end of the day, it determines on if you're taking a good fight or a bad fight. Now, like I mentioned, your pathing is going to be very based on the situation that you're in. For example, if you're lurking on B site ascent, you're going to want to be a little bit more slow and methodical. You're taking your time to clear your angles and you're making a way to the defender spawn. But if you're executing onto B site, your pathing varies once again based on your role. For example, if you're playing a space-making agent like Raze or Jet, your main objective should be to get to the switch, close the market door, and begin wrapping the site with your team. If you're an initiator, you're probably the second one in, and you should be trading your duelist if the enemy is playing log, switch, or lane. If there's no one there, you go up lane, wait for your teammate to come trade you out, and then you get ready to pinch the site with your team. If you're the controller or sentinel, you're probably one of the last ones in and your pathing just doesn't exist. You should probably sit in the back and watch smokes or stairs in case anybody tries to swing out and get a kill on your teammates while they aren't looking there. Again, with efficient pathing like this, you should be able to minimize the risk of your teammates losing gunfights as you're clearing everything as efficiently as possible. Now, I just explained one site and one situation. There's different types of pathing for lurking, splits, retakes, defaults, the list goes on, and it's also going to depend on the site that you're playing. It might sound overwhelming at first, but once we break a few down, you'll start to see the picture and pick up common patterns. We're going to start with lurking because I think that this is where the concept makes the most amount of sense. Now let's say you're lurking up A short on bind. This is what the correct pathing would look like. You clear truck, peek lamps, clear close left, hug the left wall, peek heaven, triple, pocket, and then when you get to lamps, you can peek the deep lamps angle. Just keep in mind that this will expose you to the small pocket near bench, so if you don't see anybody lamps, you need to flick to that next. If no one is there, free sight. Tell your teammates to rotate over, but tell them showers isn't clear. Now, obviously, this looks a lot different if your team is just going A. Your Raze will be satcheling into lamps, and you need to be hugging the left wall and shooting anybody in sight towards showers or trading your Raze. If you just W key into sight, you're exposing yourself to too many different angles at a time. Obviously, this is different if you have utility, but it's important that you learn how to path in different situations. Now, let's say you're lurking up C on Haven. The first thing you want to do is jump spot to see if anybody is holding you. Once they aren't, you want to hold the default box as you walk up so that you can punish anybody for playing for info. As you get closer and closer to sight, you want to hug the left wall and peek logs. Then peek close right on top of these boxes, close left, then make your way into sight, aim at garage and this cubby, and after clearing back sight, C should be free. Again, this pathing would look a lot different if your team is doing a C-pop. I can't break down this pathing for every way to lurk, but hopefully you're getting my point. When lurking, you want to make sure that you're clearing everything precisely, accurately, and always making sure that you have the best angle advantage as possible. Now, when lurking, you're trying to be as efficient as possible. But if you're entering, the pathing is going to be a lot different. Let's go back to the A site of ascent. If you're entering, your pathing should be by shooting up middle site, clearing both sides for your team so that they can funnel into the site. This is similar on most maps. Your space makers need to fly in first, followed up by your support player's utility and make the space for your team to go in. But what if you're the second person in? Well, this answer varies hard. It just depends on the map that you're playing. Again, on A-site Ascent, the second person in wants to scale up the back wall all the way to switch and close the door. It'll protect you from spam for a bit and requires the enemies to come and break it. If they don't, they all just have to funnel in through heaven, which is very dangerous. But on a map like Icebox, elevation is key. These vertical angles are what makes it impossible to take or hold the site. If you're the second or third person in, you want to make sure that you're scaling on these higher angles. If everybody runs in through the lower lanes, you're making it so the defenders' lives are way easier. All they have to do is worry about anybody walking into their crosshairs. So as your entry is getting in, jump up on top of pipes, 410, or nest and get ready to get their trade. Your pathing on other maps like Haven or Bind is a lot more simple. This is where things like spacing and communication come more into play. Your objective is to just keep good spacing, use your utility, and clear the site. I could be here for days giving you examples of scenarios like this, but the more you play the game, the more you'll realize these pathings yourself and they'll become second nature. And speaking of pathing, wouldn't it be nice if you just knew the perfect path to the next ranked? Well, we here at SkillCapped are that path. With our world-class courses and Radiant level coaches, we set you up for success. We cover in-depth topics like pathing, positioning, and how to carry those ranked teammates that you just don't know what to do with, which is something that you just won't find from any other service. We're so confident that we'll help you climb in ranked, in fact, that we will give you your money back if it doesn't work, so it's literally risk-free. So if you want to stop wasting your time focusing on the wrong things and start ranking up, check out SkillCapped. We'll be waiting. Now, when you get to more advanced levels of play, enemies are going to start playing around with these pathings and trying to counter them. For example, Cyphers love to throw a tripwire near the switch so they can shoot you as you run up to it. Or on Icebox, teams will dump utility on the right side of site so that your team has a harder time trying to plant. Or on Breeze, teams will get ready to flash to the wall or swing through it with an operator or a chamber with a rendezvous. Now, this is where game sense and adaptations come into play. If you don't adapt, then it doesn't matter how good your aim is if you're dry swinging into an operator. So if you wanted to counter the enemy swinging through the wall, you'll want to run into sight, hug the pyramid, and swing close so that it forces whoever is opping to hit a nice shot. This isn't as efficient as you normally enter sight, but if the enemy is playing a certain way, then this is the correct way to scale up. And this applies to Icebox too. If the enemy team is dumping utility in the normal plant spot, you need to scale up the other side of sight and still make space for your team. In this series versus DRX and Fnatic, DRX is clogging up the lane that people love to run in and plant in. Fnatic, in response, walls off the left side and scales in through the middle of sight and is able to take it. Or on Bind, if you know the enemy team is spamming judges in hookah, what you could do is not go in there at all. A popular strat that people do now is they'll just send 5 people up long and be sure to take elbow control. This allows you to still plant for long, and whoever is in hookah is now stuck there with their shotguns. Again, it doesn't matter how good of aim you have if you're just dry swinging into judges. You need to think and not just aim. Lastly, knowing how to path during retakes will win you rounds. Plus, it's important to know if you want to clutch. One of my favorite examples is on Haven A site. Let's say you're in a 1v2 clutch and the spike is planted default. With perfect pathing and aim, you should be able to win this round. People don't think about this, but you can actually clear out ammo before even peeking graffiti. This can break up really common crossfires that people love to play. When entering through the defender's spawn, you want to hug the right wall, peek ammo, and then swing and kill the person graffiti. You'll even see advanced players jiggle graffiti after clearing ammo to try to bait out a swing from the player playing that crossfire. With this pathing, you're abusing the way the site is laid out, and you look like you know what you're doing. Another good example of this type of pathing would be on Ascent. So as you know, if you're retaking Ascent, it's really important that you come from both heaven and door. If you only come out one side and not the other, you're going to funnel into utility, spam, and the other team will only have to keep their crosshair in one place. Now, if you're coming out of door, a really good way that people will path is they'll hug the left side, run around generator, and wrap sight with their teammates funneling out of heaven. If instead you just run out into the open, you're now exposing yourself to multiple angles at once. A main, generator, hell, all of these people will be staring at you, and you will die and then be sad. Or on Breeze, depending on the utility that you have, it's oftentimes better to scale up the right side of B site. You're exposed to less angles this way, and 1 or 2 people could either flank or scale up the left side to pinch the site. With these routes, aiming should be much easier for you. So hopefully you guys understand how important your pathing is. Being efficient in your routes that you take makes aiming a ton easier, especially if you're focusing on one angle at a time. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It really does help out. But before you go, keep in mind that this was all just one of many in-depth guides that we have on the website. We also have tons of Radiant Smurf commentaries where top tier players will walk you through exactly how to carry in your rank and viewer VOD reviews where we will break down all of the mistakes that you make in your matches. It's also all backed by our rank improvement guarantee, and the reason we do that is because we are so confident that our service works. And if it doesn't work, then you shouldn't pay. So what are you waiting for? You've got nothing to lose. Head on over to SkillCapped and we'll see you there. That's all we got though. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching. My name's King, and we'll catch you in the next video.